We awake in new surroundings on Arrakis, ready for part 5 of our Dune Awakening survival journey completely alone. Today we will finally enter the Aluminium tier, try to get rich quick and take on the very final Trial of Aql. Is this the end of Dune Awakening's story, or just the beginning? Let's find out. The day started off with a bang, quite literally. I was working on another video at the time when a huge spice bloom erupted literally just across the sand from my house. This was about 5 AM, so the server was quite quiet, and this one was all mine. With our static compactor in hand and my toes firmly curled, I cleared the entire field. Despite the worm constantly interrupting and desperate to gobble us up, there will be none of that today, and finishing up clearing the field, we end up with just over 500 spice sand, which is a rather grand way to start. Back at home, first things first, I've made a couple of upgrades to the base. Whilst I was gathering steel, I realised our water capacity was frankly not going to cut it. I was swimming in the stuff back in the gap, but here, my reservoirs are practically bone dry. Therefore, I built a wind trap on the front balcony to passively capture water, but I needed more power to run it, so I've also built a wind turbine. Both of these will give us a ton of utility for relatively cheap upkeep, so it's a huge quality of life move. Now, as for today's plans, we've got a few things we could do. What should we do first? Well, I'd ask you to let me know, but, well, I made this video weeks ago and I already know what's coming next. So, orders of business. Firstly, we're going to do a few easy contracts to earn some Solari, then take a journey up to the shield wall, get our hands on some aluminium and basalt alongside buying the Atreides build set, and then finally we'll complete the last Trial of Aql and hopefully unravel the secrets of Arrakis and the Fremen. We've actually got quite a few contracts ready to be completed, so we firstly headed back to the Vermiliuscap to Souk al-Sus to find some information. We've had a good few upgrades since we were last here, so the camp is nice and easy. We finished up that first contract fairly quickly, and then finished up the follow-up one in the same chain, netting us 10k Solari in total, a unique Mauler pistol, and a Kirab light armour override. Back up north, I took on a new contract to clear out some observation posts. I scaled a mountain near my base to clean up the first one and claim its loot, including a unique armour recipe, and then I headed a bit northwest to clear the second observation post, did that, grabbed some loot, and finished this step of that contract chain. Lastly, we returned to Chattel Passage, cleared out that camp, and sabotaged their infrastructure to complete this next leg of the contract, netting a total of 27k Solari in about 20 minutes. That's enough for now, but we will need more Solari later on. There are a lot of cosmetics I want to buy. Next, we've got a pretty big trip ahead of us. We're heading all the way up to the shield wall to get our hands on aluminium and basalt, whilst also stopping at Helios Gate to buy some Atreides cosmetics. This is going to be a pretty long journey, and unfortunately our buggy's cut array won't work up there. I think we'll need an upgrade to use the buggy for mining directly. Nevertheless, it's still got plenty of inventory space, so we'll use it to that end. On the way, I picked up the survey probe for Jabal Efrit al-Garb and the eastern shield wall, with the latter revealing the exact location of the final Trial of Aql for later. I stopped halfway through my run at the Helios Gate, finally picking up the Atreides building set and a lighting bundle too, leaving us with almost 10k Solari remaining. I carried on my run a bit longer, and in the end we finished up with just over 1000 basalt and over 1500 aluminium, a decent haul considering how inefficient farming is here at the moment, but that won't be the case for too long. Back at home, we built a new medium ore refinery and began to cook up our first batch of aluminium, creating 264 bars. Once they'd cooked, I upgraded my static compactor and cut array, and before the final trial, I headed all the way back to Hugger Base in South to pick up the level 2 planetologist training. I was going to leave this until later, but seeing as it gives us a big boost in farming efficiency, a boost we are going to need, I figured we'd go there now and get a head start on getting our first ornithopter in one of the next episodes. In the south, I cleaned up a couple of the abandoned bases. Remember, only you can prevent base overcrowding. Reaching Derek, I took his lessons to get the level 2 advanced planetologist training, then upgraded my abilities in mining, vehicle mining and maintenance, analysis and sand harvesting, all of which will be huge buffs to our farming capabilities. I also took a brief detour on the way home to the wreck of the Alcyon to grab a few shipwreck components. It's basically free real estate as this is a PvE wreck, so we grabbed them while we're here and then headed all the way back up to Jabal Ifrit. Well, with that, it seems there is but one more thing left to do, and that is the final Trial of Aql, perhaps our last step in finding the Fremen. Is this the end of Dune Awakening's story? Well, we're going to find out. We arrived at the edge of Mesa Taril to a crack in the rocks, the entrance to Sietch Talab. Once home to potentially thousands of Fremen, the place was now little more than a ruin of whispers, home only to the blasphemous Mas Karat, a sect whom had twisted the ways of the Fremen and had also seemingly sought to blast open the door of the Sietch to no avail. I approached and the door asked me to recant the teachings of my previous trials, recalling the history of the Fremen. Of course, being the lore scholar I am, I got it wrong straight away. After a few more attempts and recalling the teachings of the Fremen, we opened the door to Sietch Talab.
The path of the Zensuni Exodus is rare and hidden knowledge.
Interrupted by a strange woman named Ari, she joined us to explore the Sietch. She believes the Fremen are not entirely eradicated. Instead, she thinks many may have fled south, far beyond the reaches of the Imperial power, where only desert power matters. We plunged the depths of Sietch Talab, exploring collapsed corridors and desolate living quarters littered with the corpses of Fremen and Sardaukar alike. After rising from the rocky bowels of the Sietch, we stumbled across a room with a coded puzzle, told by a projection of a doubtless long-dead Fremen. We had to sift his words and match the correct phrases with the symbols across the room to open the door ahead. Halfway through our journey, a rumble rocked the Sietch, a blast Ari believed to be caused by the arrival of the Mas Karat. It seemed we wouldn't be able to get out of here without a fight. We finally emerged into the Cavern of Council, a once precious room of community and an important site for our journey. Atop the platform looking over the hall, a death still and a ring puzzle. This took me, admittedly, a little while, but after lining it up and feeding our blood to the death still, we unlocked the door to a room of technology bathed in an eerie glow where an unknown figure erupted from the console ahead.
Greetings, and Sabakukua. If you are watching this, I am likely dead or captured. I was brought to this planet, like you and many others, with one overriding directive: find the Fremen. But when I finally came face to face with my quarry, I did not find the villains as described by the Communanet or the Emperor. Instead, I found a noble people being drawn into a conspiracy not of their making. A conspiracy extending from the very heart of the Imperium to the dark corridors of I have to go. They don't know where I am right now, but I can't risk them finding what I leave for you. I have hidden the details of my journey on a mimetic film locked within the safe on the wall. As with the security door and the death still, our blood is the key. And now, I lead the Sardaukar as far from here as I may. Ma salam.
We found the safe the projection spoke of and opened it with our blood that has a strange quality to it, something yet to be uncovered. The film from the safe is heavily encrypted, likely of Ixian origin. Ari would need an Ixian decoder to uncover its secrets, and she reveals something interesting. she has access to the resources of a great house.
If we Atreides are known for anything, it's our stiff-necked honor.
Is this Ariste Atreides, the daughter born in the place of Paul? There was no time to consider it as the walls rumbled again, and we descended back into the main hall where a band of cultists awaited us.
The Masquerette. Going to try to draw them off. I'll make contact when I have the film decrypted.
Infidels! The lightning worm cannot be deceived! You would pay for your desecration in blood! After them! Do not let them escape!
With the Masquerade defeated and under the pressure of an impending server restart, we found our way out of Siege Talab and up to the eastern shield wall, from which we could journey back home. Ari contacted us again when we finally reached base. She couldn't find an Ixion decoder for our film, but we might be able to find one for her. She recommends a trip to one of the villages, and funnily enough, that's something I already need to do. As a reward from this final trial, we also got the Fremen Death Still recipe. This will be a huge buff to our water, as if we get a dead body and bring it back to base, we can drain it over an hour for 25,000 water, something that will doubtless revolutionise our water capabilities. We're probably going to need to build a few more of these too, but once we do, water won't be much of a concern. However, for today, that will wrap us up. Just when it looked like the story of Dune Awakening was finishing up, it unravels into yet another thread. Indeed, as confirmed by the Steam achievement I got at the time, this is merely the first part of the tale, and it seems even now we have far more questions than answers. Join us again next time where we'll be continuing our hunt for even more Solari, heading to the social hubs to continue our training and the main quest, and perhaps it might be time even to upgrade the base a bit. And of course, we'll do all of that completely solo. Thank you for watching, and a massive thanks to our wonderful esteemed coffee cultists for continuing to support the channel over on Patreon. If you want to get the next episode and more videos early alongside wallpapers and other perks, check the Patreon link in the description to support the channel directly. Take care, and I'll see you soon.